Alright, and we're back. And with this cutscene, actually, I want to mention the thing where Kai was poking through the cloud just there. That's a reference to the boss we're going to be fighting. Also, Kirby was using the ball copy ability, which we don't see in this game. That's actually in Kirby's Adventure, but it does make a guest appearance right there. But yeah, so this is Cloudy Park. This is a familiar stage that they use in Kirby's Adventure, and it kind of becomes a staple in some regard in the Kirby franchise. Kirby games share a lot in common, and part of that is the stage choice. As we've seen in this game, we've gone from forests to water, tropical places, to snowy places, to sort of a red mountain. I was thinking the red mountain would have more of a fiery theme, but it didn't. But Kirby games will have themed levels that are standard by today's, I think, understanding. But like Kirby games also have a bit of their own aspects to it. It doesn't quite just follow the formula. Like for here, we're seeing a cloud, sky sort of themed world, which I think is fun, and you don't always get those in games. This isn't the last world, it's the second to last world, so making it take place in the sky is fitting for kind of a later level, but it definitely doesn't feel like it needs to be the absolute last level. They save that for a more castle theme, which I think also works fine. But yeah, here we are at the end of the, I think this is the first stage. And we're going to be using Kine in the bonus stage, so we can see his hilarious animations and get the one-up dance. It's pretty cute. There's a little bounce animation where Kirby is sort of springing off of Kine right before the frame where he jumps out. And I think that gives it a good bit of momentum, and it makes the animation read well. It's like a build-up frame that you don't see for very long, but it gives good timing and weight to the movements. What's nice about the transformations is like Kirby provides his own little animation, while Kine does the major platforming and all that. But it gives you something kind of fun to look at. And this secret's clever because it shows you that you're going to want a water type solution because it involves water. And here we fight against the Squid mini-boss, who is the first time we saw him was when he was when we got introduced to Kine, because his bag was the first one to drop Kine, so here we kind of get to exact revenge on the Squid. And the reason I'm actually taking Kine all this way is because I want to get electricity from this exact very Squid. In doing that, we'll be able to actually rescue Ku and use Ku to get the rainbow drop that is in this level. I'm also kind of glad that they put the rainbow drop in an earlier level. I get why they'd want to do later levels to make you kind of look for it, but in this one, I like not having to worry about it and just being able to move on ahead after getting it. Here I'm being kind of dumb because I can actually just jump forward and land on the ground there. So I didn't even have to encounter those Bronto birds, but I was sort of being silly there. And this room actually, I don't really know how you can do it without getting hurt like that. That's just the only way I've been able to successfully do it, which kind of sucks because then you drop electricity and you can't use it with Ku, which would be nice for the next fight. But honestly, as we'll see with the next mini-boss fight, which I believe coming up as Ninja, is that if you're using Inhale and they give you basically what you need to kill them, it can go pretty fast, which is like, okay, no complaints there. But yeah, we killed the ninja here so we can get Cutter, so we can use that to break the final blocks of the rainbow drop. Another thing I want to mention is that the little cutscene that played at the start of Cloudy Park actually featured Ku and Kine, which sort of clues you in that this secret's going to involve those two characters, which I think is nice, because we hadn't really seen Ku get used for a bit since his introduction. It's kind of been Ricky and Kine, or Rick and Kine. Ricky. We already got a Kirby, or an E ending name, so he's just Rick. I also want to mention this border. Well, I love that the Super Game Boy version gives different background colors to the different levels. This border is kind of getting a little bit hard on the eyes, I would say. It's just a bit sharp. It'd be nice if they didn't choose like these bright like green colors and like contrast with like another bright white, which is like bad contrast, I guess. But oh well. They chose a checkerboard pattern, which is like weird. It's very video gamey, I guess. But yeah. We're just gonna swim up in this orange Tang soda and keep going forward here. This room is pretty fun. Different air currents actually push Kirby around in this sort of square-shaped room, and you gotta break the blocks on the sides to get into the square. One thing that I think works well about Kirby as a 2D platformer is that Kirby's design, not only is it cute, it also is very clear and easy to read, like what Kirby is going to touch and not touch, and like how big Kirby is. You know, Kirby's basically just like a circle. It's kind of like a chubby circle, and it's a cute design, and a lot of these other enemies actually imitate that circular look. The rock characters and the fire enemies, they sort of match Kirby's look, and I think it makes like cohesion in the world. Falling down with the rock is pretty fun. There's actually a part coming up in this level where air currents push Kirby up into the air, and if you use rock, you can ride the air currents up really high, and it's pretty fun. So we're making our way through this level. There's not too many hard parts, I don't think. Well, no, actually, that's not true. It's a bit of a gauntlet. These areas can kind of last for a while, and if the health drops are kind of sparse, you know, you do gotta be careful. And here I'm trying to bring rock, actually, to get to that part with the where the air's gonna push me up, but I end up making a mistake and losing it, and then I'm not able to get it back, even though later in the level it does give you another rock enemy. I actually ended up missing it, but that's okay. Sometimes in Kirby, when you see a door, you just want to enter it immediately, but you forget that once you enter a door, you don't always get to go back through that same door. And here with this spike guy, I forget that when he has his spikes out, you actually can't hit him, which is kind of stupid of me. And yeah, this boss fight is not one of my favorites. This mini boss fight, I should say. But that's okay. It's kind of funny when you hit him and he goes gray like that. This guy's like pretending to be a Gordo, but in all honesty, he's not even as strong as a Gordo. Like, if the mini boss I had to fight for this room was a Gordo, like, I would never be able to kill it, and I'd never be able to progress. And King Dedede would win, and you know, that'd just be terrible. Oh well. One thing that's nice about getting the partners that I haven't mentioned is that they do refill your life bar, which in cases where Kirby's life is really low, it's actually very nice because I get to continue to progress. Although it does remember that you had whatever health you had before you get on your animal friend, so it's fair in that way, and I respect it as a good mechanic. The animal friends are supposed to be helpful, but the thing is, like, in some ways they're actually not just like better than Kirby, which is funny, but it makes it a fun kind of enjoyable experience. And part of what's like, I think, in a Kirby game is making it a fun experience. If you were just playing to win, what's sad is like some of Kirby's mechanics could just like facilitate like being slow and like careful to the point where it's like it's not actually as fun as it could be. But like, in all honesty though, I think it's up to you to play Kirby in a bit of a more, I guess, reckless way, or just a more like enjoyable way. Even though you probably would get hurt more if you're like trying to go out of your way to learn how to use the different moves. I think that's how you should play it. But I mean, you can play it however you want, obviously. I just think that the experience lends itself to that, and I think that's cool. Because like getting hit or losing a life in Kirby isn't like the worst punishment. You're kind of given some room for error. Where honestly, as in Mario, you really don't get that much wiggle room. At least wiggle room. At least in the Mario 3, because that one can get pretty tough. But Kirby's Dream Land 2. I guess it really just gets tough if you're trying to get at the rainbow drops, because then you have to really figure out like what you need to bring, and that's what's tough about not knowing what the blocks mean. It does ask a lot of you if you are just gonna do it blindly. It takes some time to figure out all that stuff. But for what it is, it's actually like a short game, so like I think it kind of like that makes up for it in a bit. And it's something that you might be encouraged to do on a repeat playthrough. But what I also like is that they make it very clear that there's a rainbow drop in each one of those worlds, because when you get it, it hovers above the world in the world select screen from the warp star. And I think that makes it very clear to the player, like, oh, there's probably going to be however many of these as there are stages. This part is kind of like a trial of like 5 doors thing. So one of the pathways is correct and the other ones are just kind of like random rooms. Most of them I think are just enemies. But I actually end up kind of screwing up because I don't go through all these doors. I do most of them, but then I get the right door, and then I don't ever get to see what that last door was. But I don't even know if I would have wanted to do that last door. Maybe it would have killed me. So who knows? But yeah, sorry, I didn't show it off. I guess I can't call it 100% show off or something. You could call it 100% completion, because I don't think there's anything you need to complete in that room. Which is also partly why you could say you could argue you're even incentivized to just go through the levels however you see fit. The most a level can give you, if it's not going to be a raindrop, is just like a life. So yeah, I guess it's okay not to see everything. Although I do like to kind of try to show off the secret rooms, because they're cool. They usually have some visual flair, like, or a brief callback to an older part of a level. Here they're introducing a pushback mechanic with the wind when you fly up. So it actually can make this boss fight a little bit harder to deal with, because if you just want to like go over him, you can't create enough momentum for Kirby to break through the wind with just his flying ability. You actually have to kind of like fall to push yourself in the direction that the wind is pushing against, which I think is like a good use of Kirby's flying mechanic, and it's something that I think this game does well. Because in Kirby you can fly, but flying is slow, and because of that you can also get hit a bit more, you know? Screw it, let's take Rick, yeah. You know. I still do believe that getting a partner and having it override the music, it's not bad, it's just that some of these themes kind of get tiring for me to hear over and over again. Whereas, in all honesty, the background music for the stages, it doesn't really get quite as tiring for me. It's usually like does a better job of theming. I really love the orange color palette in this stage, especially with the water. It's easy on the eye. Things just kind of seem clear. It looks like warm pasta noodles, some SpaghettiOs or something. This room is also just a big maze that kind of screw up going through at in a decent manner, but I promise we'll get through it. Bear with me. It's like, it is definitely possible just to like for the sake of a let's play or something, like if you wanted to, you could just make yourself look like good at the game if you just kept playing it enough, but at a certain point I also find that like I myself don't want to commit like all that much time if I can help it, and like at a certain point making yourself just look really good at a game isn't even that like might not even be what people would want, because creating some sort of struggle or like the showcase of like, oh, there's something on the line here, I think it's fun. But yeah, thankfully that was just Rick, who's basically just like a bullet sponge or something for us. He took the hits, so we'll forever be indebted to him. This mode's kind of nice. It's like a you know, you did it. You went through all that hard stuff. It was like, you know, the game kind of you know, made the player feel good. And that's kind of what Cloudy Park is also about. Like there's lots of lives that you can find, so they kind of knew that they were making it a bit harder. So in some ways they do try to help out the player. But yeah, this is a cool little fight. He kind of looks like the Starman from Earthbound. But yeah, this is like Krakos, I think. It's a reoccurring Kirby boss, and it's why like Cloudy Park also is like memorable, is because you get this this familiar boss. And yeah, I really like it. This is a cool fight, and we'll see why as it goes on. Kind of looks like a laser sort of effect there, which kind of gives it also like again that Starman effect. I like how the clouds are outlined orange in the background. It gives the screen some visual flair, I suppose, as opposed to all the outlines being the same color. This boss fight's also pretty fair, actually, at giving you things to hit it with. I actually just mess up sometimes and don't find the right what am I trying to say? I guess I just don't inhale the things at the correct times. Partly because it's like I'm timid and I don't want to like run Kirby into damage. But yeah, as we'll see, the music's still playing, the eye's rolling slowly towards the other side of the screen, and now it's back in the form I think we're more familiar of it with. The kind of cloud with spikes coming out like that. It's cool. It reminds me of Gordo, you know. And Gordo's a cool design in the Kirby world. And man, am I getting hit a lot. Oh my gosh. His eye sort of looks like the moon too. It also kind of does give me vibes to the Sun and Moon boss fight, which is another one of my favorites. I think because there's like 2 boss fights as well in this fight. And also because it's like cloud, it's in the sky. His eye looks like a moon. So yeah. But yeah, this is a fun fight. And I was gonna say something else, but I kind of forgot. Oh well. Oh yeah, it's just that sometimes you can even be totally pro and get 2 projectiles that he throws out and use it back at him, which I messed up. I wasn't able to pull that off. I'm not a pro. It's kind of cute the way they pop out from him. It actually kind of reminds me of the Cloud boss in Paper Mario, who would make smaller copies of himself. The principles aren't quite the same here, but it is also kind of using like a lightning, electricity sort of thing. Which I guess, I actually don't really know how clouds make electricity. Is it because clouds are like water vapor? Or, and then like, because they're concentrating and like doing a lot with water, that creates pressure and electricity? I don't really know. But, if it is, that'd be cool. Because I know electricity can get created at dams, which, I don't know how they do that either, but hey, look at that. It looks like Kirby just barely makes it out of that one. And with his Huey and Dewey brothers, they do a classic jig, but then they're cosmically destroyed by the ether, and Kirby goes back to their grave to play a bonus chance and collect stars while clouds fly around aimlessly. No, not aimlessly, they just get popped up and then they drop down. This one's actually not too hard. Sometimes you can get a bad bit of luck where like a star is on one side of the screen, then it's on another side of the screen, and then there's like in the middle then is like a obstacle that's hitting you. It's hard to that's when it's the hardest, I would say. But yeah, that's why I just say try to stay proactive. The game gives you a lot of time to see if it's a good thing or a bad thing, and it also gives you time to see where the next one's going to be made. So like, it's a good indication. This is a solid game. It's a bit of an easier one, which I actually don't mind. I guess I could just see it kind of ruining like the traditional like things get harder as they progress, sort of. But that's not like a problem. It doesn't need to do anything. Thank you for watching.